What's up, guys? It's me, Owen. I am back with another video, and it is time to do these WrestleMania 40 predictions. Got a lot of matches to get through, so, excuse me, let's go ahead and let's jump into this. But before we do, make sure to like, subscribe, and share post notifications so you don't miss out on future videos and streams. I will be live reacting to both nights of WrestleMania. And for those of you who liked watching the Monster Jam World Finals freestyle rescoring series, that will be coming back very soon. So, let's take a look at night one. We have 7 matches on this card, and reportedly 4 of them are getting a pretty damn good chunk of time. Those being Rhea Becky, Gunther Sami, the 6-pack tag team tag team title ladder match, and Rock and Roman versus Cody and Seth, which the last of those 4 is the main event match. We figured that one out already. I would imagine Rhea and Becky are going to go first. It just feels like, Becky said in an interview that she would like to do that. And I think just in the scope of everything, it just makes sense. So then it's really a toss-up whether you do the ladder match third or you do Gunther and Sami third. With the other 3 matches being Jay versus Jimmy, Bianca, Jade, and Naomi against Damage Control, and LWO versus Santos and Dominik. Those splitting the other 4 up so that way, you can, come off a high, cool down a little bit, go back up, peaks and valleys and all that fun stuff. So we'll first talk about LWO, Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee against Santos Escobar and Dominik Mysterio. I don't really have an opinion either way on this match. I think that Santos and Dom will probably win. Just off the fact of shenanigans, and people were saying, "Ooh, Carlito could possibly turn heel," and yeah, that's basically it. Santos and Dom win. Then you have Bianca, Jade, and Naomi against Damage Control. Jade's first non-Royal Rumble match in WWE. And if her Royal Rumble appearance is anything to go by, with all the time spent in the Performance Center since she signed to WWE and more time spent in the Performance Center after the Royal Rumble and whatnot, I would imagine that what we saw from her in the Rumble, which was fucking awesome to begin with, is going to be even better when we get to see this match tomorrow night. And I'm glad, and I like that they're doing it this way. You get Jade on the card, you allow her to essentially have it technically debut, because she debuted in the Royal Rumble, but in terms of a regular match, a regular non-Royal Rumble match, this is her debut in that format. And also to do it alongside Bianca and Naomi is fucking awesome. And because of that, I don't see them losing, because I don't think they're going to have Jade lose this match. Her first non-Royal Rumble match, I don't think they're going to have Jade lose. So unfortunately, that means Asuka goes another year without a Mania win. Fuck you, Vince. Asuka should have beaten Charlotte years ago. But we move. Jay versus Jimmy. Brother versus brother. Okay. So I've seen some people mention that this feud doesn't feel as heated as it should be. Part of that, I think, is so much of the focus has been on the rest of the bloodline and what's going on there. But Jimmy interfered, cost Jay his match against Gunther for the IC title. Getting involved in some other stuff, and Jay made it clear that he wants Jimmy back on his side. And Jimmy sort of made it clear that, well, Jay, you're the one who made these decisions. I just protected you because, that's what brothers do. Is it gaslighting? Yeah, to a point. But there's some truth to everything. And to be fair, Jay has done a phenomenal job on his own. He probably should have a few more wins under his belt as a single star than what he's got. But he is he is so fucking over. He won the tag titles for a hot minute with Cody. Uh, I just think that in the grand scheme of things, when you look at it like this, Jay has been able to make it on his own, but after what happened at SummerSlam last year, Jimmy just went back to the bloodline, even though he left the bloodline with Jay. And which at the time didn't make sense. Why would Jimmy go back? I think the way you look at that is, and it's so fucking weird in a way, but at the same time it's not, and it actually kind of makes sense. When you go all the way back to when this whole bloodline thing started, after Roman came back and won the title originally, Jimmy fell in line automatically. Jay was the rebellious one, and it took Roman beating the shit out of Jay twice and then attacking Jimmy when Jimmy tried to protect him for Jay to fall in line. And then when we got around to Jimmy super kicking Roman in Saudi last year, after, when Roman, when, uh, yeah, I'm losing my mind. You know what I'm referring to, though. When that happened, it was like, oh shit. Um, because we all figured Jay was gonna be the one to do it. But in reality, Jay, he's taken so much shit from Roman, and he's been gaslighted so much to where he didn't know what the fuck to do. And Jimmy just said, nah, fuck this, and he super kicked him. And then it led to Jay, and Jimmy leaving the bloodline. They win the tag match over Roman and Solo. And then it just becomes this thing where Jay goes after Roman. He wants the title. And Jimmy, looking back, Jimmy's reasoning kind of made sense. He feared that Jay would turn into Roman. He would become what Roman is if Jay got that power, and Jimmy was trying to stop it. It just didn't make sense for Jimmy to turn on Jay the way that he did when, all things considered. The point that I'm getting at here is you go from that to this, and I think, well, first of all, Jay's winning. I think Jay will win, first and foremost. I think that if not by the end of this match or this night, then by the end of night two, Jimmy will turn face again, and he will rejoin Jay. And we'll get into that a little bit more later on. So now we get into the title matches before we get into the main event. Starting off with Gunther versus Sami. If I had to be honest with you, I think this is the match where the champion has the most likely chance of retaining. And that's nothing against Sami. It's just I don't think Gunther is losing at Mania. Now, if it was Chad Gable in the spot, knowing what we know between Gable and Gunther and the matches and the moments that they've had, I think Gunther would have a better shot of losing to Gable than he does to Sami. Sami's phenomenal, don't get me wrong. But when you look at Gable's background and you look at, again, go back and watch everything Gable did to Gunther, it makes you wonder a little bit. Now, what I'm wondering is, will Gable come out with Sami? Because Gable's been trying to train Sami for this match. And I just wonder, could Gable turn heel on Sami because he feels that Sami took his spot? And if that's the case, that should be an interesting feud moving forward. But more importantly, with Gunther, 2 words. Ilya Dragunov. If he drops the title to D'Angelo at Stand and Deliver tomorrow, and then gets called up, you best believe that they need to run Gunther Dragunov back. The matches they've had against each other have been fucking phenomenal. And I absolutely think if somebody's going to be the one to dethrone Gunther, who else but Dragunov? Why not? Right? So give me Gunther to retain at Mania. Then we have the six-pack tag team title ladder match. Judgment Day's Finn Balor and Damian Priest versus DIY versus Awesome Truth versus The New Day versus A-Town Down Under versus New Catch Republic. All right, so there's been a heavy emphasis that this match will not end until both sets of tag belts have been brought down. This, I think, is going to be how WWE is going to split the tag belts. And it makes sense considering you have three teams that are essentially from Raw and three that are essentially from SmackDown. Now, in regards to Judgment Day, I fully expect if LWO versus Santos and Dom happens earlier in the night, I fully expect Dominik to come out and try to help. I fully expect JD McDonough to come out and help. I fully expect some R-Truth shenanigans, both to and against Judgment Day, or I guess both with and against, technically. I don't think Judgment Day is going to have anything left after WrestleMania. Not just the tag belts. Rhea we'll get into momentarily, and then Damien's Money in the Bank briefcase. We'll get into that later. But I'm saying it right now. I think Judgment Day will walk out empty-handed and a broken group. Something batshit insane is gonna happen in this match, and it's gonna cost Finn and Damien, and it's gonna cause them to turn on each other. I mean, Damien said it himself. This weekend is not just big for them as a team, but individually. Damien with the briefcase. You look at the way he and Rhea talked to Dominik on Monday when Andrade and Santos' group pulled up to their locker room. It just feels like that tension's growing again, and they've teased it for months, off and on, but it's gonna finally happen. Judgment Day is gonna finally implode. And as far as who walks away with the tag belts, I think the Raw belts will go. I think they're gonna go to DIY. I think I genuinely believe they should go to Gargano and Ciampa. I was the truth. SmackDown tag belts. I'm gonna say give them to Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, New Catch Republic. I think that would be a nice move to see. So DIY for the Raw belts, New Catch Republic for the SmackDown belts. Judgment Day implodes. So, speaking of Judgment Day, we then get to Rhea versus Becky for the Women's World title. Reportedly, Rhea will be getting a live entrance theme performance from Motionless in White, who does her theme song. Obviously, as we know, if you get a live performance, your track record is at Mania is not that great. Also, when you look at Rhea Ripley's Mania record, lost at Mania 36, won at Mania 37, lost at Mania 38, and she won last year. So the trends are saying Rhea's going to lose. However, you have to factor in Liv Morgan, who a lot of fans wanted to see in this spot, even though Rhea Becky has been teased for months. You have to factor in Nia Jax and her issues with Becky. Yes, Becky beat Nia in that last woman standing match, but you never know. And it seems like there's some mutual respect between Becky and Liv, but again, you never know. My gut is telling me Becky wins if we're going off the trends, but my brain is telling me Rhea retains. Simply because, Becky's already said she's in like the last couple months of her contract. Which, WWE, if you don't throw the fucking bag at her, I swear to God. But also, Becky has said she doesn't plan on retiring anytime soon. But when it comes to her and Seth and her kid, she has a lot to consider. and at some point it's going to be over. Or not over completely, but you get what I mean. So I think Rhea is going to buck the trends, and I think Rhea will retain. Um, However, if she loses, going along with everything else with Judgment Day that I think is going to happen, then it would make sense either way. But um, I think Rhea retains, and hopefully we will get the Rhea Liv build that will lead to Liv dethroning Rhea down the line. Finally, the main event of night one. Rock and Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes and Seth freaking Rollins. If Cody and Seth somehow pull out this win, all members of the Bloodline will be barred from ringside for Cody Roman too. If the Bloodline win, then that match between Cody and Roman will be done under Bloodline rules, which is essentially street fight, no holds barred, that sort of thing. And I'm going to put this as simply as possible. If Cody and Seth somehow pull this off, I don't think Cody wins. Because yes, you can have the Bloodline barred from ringside. But first of all, Rock doesn't give a fuck about the rules. He's shown that. Two, you could literally run back the Solo spot from last year. Yes, Solo was at ringside, got thrown out, came back with the hood on, and da-da-da-da. But there's that. Jacob Fatu and Zilla Fatu are around. Remember, they're in that four-way tag team title Punjabi prison match for GCW coming up. So, who knows? There's a lot of different things that could happen here. But if Cody and Seth somehow pull out this tag win, I'm not sure Cody wins on night two. However, if Rock and Roman win, Cody will win on night two. Here's why. First of all, you don't even need to have Solo attack in this match. Just have Drew come out and Claymore Seth. That's all you need to do. Have him Claymore Seth on the outside. Cody takes the pin, but he takes it from Rock, not Roman, which would make sense considering Rock has been torturing Cody in recent weeks. And at the same time, Rock has also really overshadowed Roman in this whole feud. To be fair, Rock has built Cody up as the biggest fucking babyface he could possibly have at this point. And I just have this feeling that when you think about it, you go back, you watch each segment with Rock when Roman's been around, and you look at, people pointing out a lot of the subtle little things that sort of tell you, yeah, Rock's not siding with Roman for very long. I think that when you take all of that, and then you take the idea of Rock pinning Cody, Roman gets pissed because he wanted to pin Cody both nights, and Roman starts seeing, yeah, Rock has kind of overtaken this for himself, that it's going to lead to that tension, and then it boils over on night two. But also, in a sense, if you get the Bloodline rules match, that means no DQ, which means anybody can fucking show up and attack for either side. And I fully expect Roman and Cody to be full of shenanigans, and we'll get into that momentarily. But I'm going to say, give me Rock and Roman to win on night one, and let the chaos commence on night two. And speaking of night two, we have 6 matches here. Reportedly, there might be a surprise slot lined up for this night, so we'll see what happens on that front. But you have Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight title, Io versus Bayley for the WWE Women's title, LA Knight and AJ Styles, Logan Paul versus Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens for the US title, Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits against Karrion Kross and AOP in a 6-man Philly street fight, and then, again, Roman and Cody. So, I think with this, I think you do Seth and Drew first, which honestly makes sense from a kayfabe standpoint, because Seth, after hypothetically getting claymored by Drew on night one, he's going to want to go out there and get this shit out of the way as soon as possible and beat Drew's ass. So let them go first. Um, I think so. I think for this, you have Seth and Cody, or sorry, Seth and Drew go first. Then you do the Logan. Actually, no. I think you do Seth and Drew first. Then you do the street fight. Then you do the triple threat. Then you do Knight and Styles. And then I think you do Io versus Bailey right before Roman and Cody. I think. I think. I think that could work. So starting off, we'll start with LA Knight versus AJ Styles, and these two have been fucking going at it recently. Freaking Knight attacking Styles at his house, getting arrested. Knight fucking attacked Styles at here at WWE World, or not here. I'm not there, obviously, but um, I think for this one, I think LA Knight wins, and a lot of it is, in my opinion, is Styles puts Knight over because Styles is he's freaking said in an interview over the week that he's at a point where he's considering his future for his career and when it might be time to hang up his boots. Not saying that's going to happen anytime soon, but LA Knight making his WrestleMania debut, I could very well see Knight pulling out the victory. Styles puts him over. It's gonna be brutal. It's gonna be hard hitting. Knight is over as fuck, and I think that for WrestleMania, you have got to give him that victory. And hopefully that will lead to um some other big things down the line as far as, again, last year he probably should have won Money in the Bank, but he didn't. So, stuff like that. But I think LA Knight will beat AJ Styles on night two. Then we have the street fight. Lashley and the Profits against Karrion Kross and AOP. This should be very interesting. You know, Lashley's been saying some stuff. He said this week that he feels kind of handcuffed when he looks at the main event and he's beaten three of the four guys, or main event of night one, I should say. He's beaten three of the four of them. He wants to get back in the title picture, and Cross put out this big tweet, basically just going at him about it, about saying he feels handcuffed and da da da, which is all playing into Cross's character. Let's be real, but I think this is a match that I think is going to turn some heads. It's a street fight, so it's going to be brutal, but like I just think that this is, first of all, it's awesome to see Karrion Kross at WrestleMania. I mean, he said last year that it was supposed to be him and Scarlett against Alexa and Bray at Mania. Rest in peace, Bray. Go watch the documentary on Peacock if you haven't already. Very great documentary, but um, I think that for this match, it's gonna be hard hitting. It's gonna be brutal. It's gonna be a fucking war. Give me Cross and AOP for the victory. I think they'll get it. Um, so then we go to the U.S. title triple threat: Logan versus Randy versus KO. This is gonna be interesting. Obviously, you go back to the Royal Rumble. KO should have beaten Logan, or he technically did, but he technically didn't because it was DQ because of the brass knucks that Logan passed off, or that Logan had. Owens took them from him, used them, got caught. Da, da, da. KO is gonna maul the shit out of Logan. And I think what's gonna end up happening is that happens, and then Randy sort of just picks up the scraps. I honestly think hmm, I See, there's like different possibilities. You could have Logan retain and then run him versus LA Knight, playing off of the little mini feud they had going into, or the war of words that they had going into Money in the Bank last year. You could have Randy win and then do Randy versus LA Knight, which I think would be nice. Um, KO winning would be pretty cool. Um, I'm gonna go with Randy though. I think Randy pulls it out, and then you run Randy and LA Knight thereafter, and then Randy puts over LA Knight, and LA gets his first singles title in WWE, with the US title moving forward. But Randy gets the victory here. Io versus Bayley up next. Now, unfortunately, Bayley was not able to get Paramore for her entrance. She tweeted out earlier today that schedules just didn't line up. So she's hoping for another time. But this is big. Bayley winning the Royal Rumble. Some would say it was kind of predictable, all things considered. But let's be real. It was the outcome that we needed, and it's the one that should happen, and it did. Um, what is there to say about this that hasn't really been said already? This might be the biggest match of Bayley's career, all things considered. It's her first, I believe she has said it's her first singles match at WrestleMania. Um, she has a chance to finally get a singles title around her waist for the first time since the pandemic. Um, everything between her and Damage Control and all this other stuff has been absolutely wild. Um, Io's title run has been pretty good. Her winning it was fucking awesome. Her winning Money in the Bank was awesome as well. I think Bayley's gonna walk out of WrestleMania with a title. It makes a lot of sense. Bayley should get her moment. Um, and I could very well see it happening with her overcoming the odds, um, and scoring the big title victory that she deserves. Um, but this should be another. They all, in all honesty, I think every match has a very good chance to be very fucking good. And this is no exception. Speaking of no exceptions, Seth and Drew. Here we go. Um, so this is this a lot like the Becky Rhea match. You have Drew McIntyre, who is on a contract that is expiring soon. Um, will he resign? I think he will, just based on all the work that he's done with this character and how much, and the fact of you also have a lot the Punk stuff and everything else. Drew, much like Bayley, Drew needs to fucking win at Mania. Because when Drew won the title over Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 36, he didn't get to do it in front of the fans. This is his chance to do this in front of the fans. And I absolutely believe he will. The thing that Drew and Bayley have in common is that both of them, along with Sasha Banks, or now known as Mercedes Moné, those three are the ones that are looked at in large part as being the ones that sort of carried the WWE through the no fans era of the pandemic before they did the Thunderdome, and really also through the Thunderdome era as well for the most part. And it would be awesome to see both of them get big title victories at WrestleMania. Now, the question with this match is, does Damian Priest finally fucking cash in? And for real this time. No interferences, at least not yet. Nobody preventing him from cashing in. Does he finally actually cash in? Yes. But this plays into the Judgment Day implosion. He's going to get costed big time. He's not, Damian is not going I don't know if it's going to happen during the match or after. If it happens during the match, then it's recreating what Seth did again, in the Roman Brock match years ago, which you can't recreate that. You can't do it over. You just can't. That was a lightning in the bottle moment. This would absolutely feel it if Damien cashes in during the match, it would feel absolutely manufactured. But if he cashes in after, I think it makes a little more sense. Um, but I absolutely believe his soon to be former Judgment Day stablemates, or at least one or two of them, are going to end up costing him, and Drew will end up walking out with the title regardless. Uh, I don't think Drew gets screwed out of it. And speaking of getting screwed, it happened last year, and I'm telling you right now, it's not happening again. Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, part two. And look, I already said it when it came to the tag match. There's a lot of things that are really subtle from The Rock when he's been around Roman as far as, the lead up to this. I have no doubt in my mind that Rock is turning on Roman on night two and that Cody wins. But more than that, being that this match will probably end up being under Bloodline rules, again, if Rock and Roman win on night one, which I think they will, everybody's going to fucking come out and defend Cody. Because it's been established. You have to neutralize every single member of the Bloodline to get the job done. In this case, it's Heyman and Solo because you don't have to worry. Well, you don't have to worry about Jay. You probably won't have to worry about Jimmy. Again, the Fatus could show up from the Indies, but who knows? Cody has to win, and I've been saying this for forever now. If Cody doesn't win over Roman, you literally cannot have Cody challenge Roman ever again as long as Roman is champion. Because you will fuck over Cody's credibility. Yes, he is massively over. Last year he should have won. This year he needs to win. Or else he's fucked. Don't get me wrong. He can still be the face of WWE, but you can't then do like Roman Cody 3. You just can't. It's not going to happen. It's not going to work. You have to have Cody beat Roman on night two. And beyond the possibility of Rock turning on Roman, having Solo, because I could very well see Solo be in the ring, because being that it's Bloodline rules means no DQ, so he's allowed in there by all technicality. I could very well see Solo sort of like look at Cody, look at Roman, look at Cody again, and then he attacks Roman. There have been teases of Cena being there, Steve Austin being there. Bro, if Steve Austin fucking comes out and he stuns Rock one more time, oh, oh my fucking god. Philadelphia is gonna lose their minds if that happens. And I think it will happen. I think other wrestlers who have faced Roman before, at least those who are currently like faces, are gonna come out and defend Cody. It's it's almost gonna kind of look like what happened when Mick Foley, won the title back in the day, which I think, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think that match, when Mick had his crowning moment of winning the title, wasn't that a lumberjack match, kind of, sort of, because you had everybody on the outside, and then it's like, Mick goes for the pin, gets pulled off, one guy attacks the guy that pulled him off, everybody just starts fighting, and then out comes Steve Austin, stuns Rock, Mick wins. I could very well see something like that happening on night two with Cody winning the gold. And he's already said if he wins, that belt is getting fucking changed, and it's probably going to be a new version of it, just like the World Heavyweight title is a new version of its predecessor. But give us back the Winged Eagle. I think that's what Cody's going to do. So Cody wins, Winged Eagle comes back, and Triple H said it himself. New era's coming, baby. So with that said, Thank y'all for watching. Hope y'all enjoy. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.